My name is Dave Meier. I've been cruising the streets of Winnipeg. This is my 29th year since 95 when I first started cruising in my grandpa's 1973 Chevy Nova. And the Nova's off the road right now doing some work to it. That's why I got my 74 Oldsmobile Omega out. I originally bought this car in 2005 for parts for the 73 Nova. And I noticed there wasn't many Omegas around, and when we were looking at the car, we're like, you know, it's not actually that bad. Maybe we can fix it. And with some friends, we learned to weld. We put some quarter panels on it, some wheel wells, fixed some holes in the floor, and new motor powertrain, and now I got two half-finished projects. I've kind of bought the car as a project to see if I could do the work to fix my Nova up, because it had the same kind of issues. It had, you know, the rusty doors, rusty quarters. So we used this kind of as a test project, and we wanted to see what we could do. And after working on this car and putting it on the road, and it's still not done, I learned that I would never touch my Nova, and I'd have the Nova done professionally. And this car, when we got it, being an Oldsmobile Omega, it was originally a 6-cylinder car, and it got the nickname Slo-mega. With the 6-cylinder in it, we couldn't get this car to run faster than 40-45 kilometers, like not even with the wind blowing behind us. And we tried different tune-ups, carburetors, rebuilding the ignition, and we almost got to 50 kilometers once. And when we pulled the valve cover off, we noticed that the valves weren't really moving, so the cam was done. So out came the 6-cylinder. We put a 305 in it from my buddy's winter car that he was junking because it was rotted. And we drove it for a few years with the 305, even raced it at Interlake Dragway in Gimli, and started drag racing it for fun, you know. And it was running 17 seconds in the quarter mile. And then one of my friends, Dan Clem, Mow Down Racing Engines, I bought a 350, and we were running the 350, and I blew it up. Spun a bearing in it, and then my buddy Dan built me the 350 that's in it today. We've been racing, and when I say we, my dad and I, we were taking the car to test and tune to see who could run it faster, my dad or myself, taking turns. And then one day Dad wanted to try competing in the trophy and heavy street class. And that was in 2009, 2010. We blew up the motor. He started competing, it was 2012, I believe. So yeah, just about 12 years. He's not racing this year. And I started announcing at the track, so I'd kind of, you know, get the car going. I'd work up at the tower, and my dad would race the car. And he did well in 2018. He was the heavy street champion. And so it's kind of become my dad's drag car in a way, and I love it because it gets dad out, you know, father-son kind of thing. And even my niece is now starting to get into it, but she's way too young to drive. She's only 11, so she's still got a few years to go. But it's a nice car. You know, it's painted with trem clad. I never did finish the bodywork on it. We worked every day on this car back in 2006 to get it on the road. Every day for 4 months, I'm driving out to Selkirk, Manitoba to work in a friend's garage. So when we got it on the road, I got it safety. I thought to myself, I'm going to take a week or two off, and then I'll finish the bodywork in terms of, you know, the filler, and finish the weld lines, smoothing it out. And it's been, what, 17 years I'm still on that brake. It's got a fuel injection system which manages the fuel. It also has timing control in it as well. And that's something I did for when we're racing, because as the temperature changes while you're racing and the air density changes, you got to change your dial-in time to compensate for that. Well, with the fuel injection, now the computer is making those calculations for you instead of you having to rejet your carburetor or change your timing. And so we put that in the car, and I've been really impressed with how well it's worked. And as you can see, my aftermarket air conditioner. Yeah. $10, Princess Auto. Well, it does the job, moves the air, right? Especially when you're sitting in here drag racing, you got the windows up. Just having that breeze is huge. Just some air movement, right? And then the shifter in here, the shifter, it's a ratchet shifter, so you know when you're racing, you go and you have it in first gear, and then boom, second gear, boom, drive, and That's why the shifter's in here. My dad wanted the shifter. Originally it was a column shifter. And I don't mind the column. I know how to use it, but Dad wanted the ratchet shifter because he wanted that, you know, hammering into the next gear. And I said to Dad, well, you know, I don't have the money for it. If you want it, buy it. A couple of days later, I came home from work. I went to the garage, and there it is, sitting a box on the hood with a note, install it. He used to race when he was younger, and then I guess, you know, when I came along, I ruined that. And, you know, it's only fair that he kind of takes this car to race it because I stole the Chevy Nova from him. So, you know, I stole his car, he stole my car, so we're even. But yeah, he certainly enjoys the racing, and I certainly enjoy watching him race and the camaraderie he has with some of the other racers. That's pretty cool. And then, you know, I'll stand at the side and I'll watch him race, and there's been a couple times I've made comments, and the guy's like, you know, you shouldn't be saying that. Where's your car? I'm like, well, that is my car. Because people get really sensitive when you talk bad about other people's cars, right? You know, you don't do that. Oh, no right on red. There we go. Thumbs up, there we go. Get a lot of that kind of reaction from people because you don't see it up close, so you don't see, you know, like I mentioned, those weld scar lines and that, or how bad the paint is. And I guess I should be a lot more pleasant, a lot more upbeat about the car, but I know. But yeah, I've been cruising up and down these streets of Portage Avenue. This is, like I said, 29 years. One of the places we've been, one of our new hangouts now has been Gondola Pizza here. We'll sit here, just park there, order some pizza, and just eat our pizza and hang out, talk about cars and stuff. But the cruising has changed so much from when I first started to how it is today. Like back in the day, there was a lot of light to light kind of racing and, you know, kind of showing off. As technology and, you know, police have gotten better, and, you know, the fines for getting in trouble, that it's kind of calmed the roads down a bit. I myself, now that's what kind of drove me to going to the track back in the mid 2000s is I didn't want to have to deal with my car getting impounded. You know, what would happen to my car when it gets impounded, and dealing with the fines. I didn't need that headache, so I took it to the track. And then, you know, we've hung out here at Unicity too. We used to hang out there for a while before we had the spot over here at Princess Auto. And Princess Auto is now the spot to be the last 2-3 years. And we'll, with my friends Will and Vern, we'll go hang out there about 4 or 4:30, and we'll stay there till about 9 o'clock-ish. And then I'll go for a little bit of drive on the streets. With my holidays at work, I actually take Mondays off just so I can stay out Sunday nights and drive. Through cruising as well and street racing back in the day that I've met my girlfriend I'm with. She has a 73 Chevelle, and she was kind of known as the Queen of Brady Road because nobody could beat her. This was when we used to street race just outside of the city back in the late 90s. But you can't have that fun back in the day today between the police and, you know, everybody's got cameras, and the police aren't stupid. I mean, they'll be scouring, you know, over YouTube and Facebook. So they see the pictures with people posting. They know who the troublemakers are. They know who's doing the racing. It's just not worth it. Take it to the racetrack. The worst thing too would be, you know, if you got caught racing doing something and you hit somebody innocent, whether a car or a person. I couldn't live with that. I'll drive the 60 miles out of the city, pay the money, and race at the track where it's safe. Here's Princess Auto where we hang out on Sunday nights. We just park there, and sometimes we even come out here on a Saturday night. We'll just sit here and just shoot the shit. We'll go get a pizza, gondola, hang out here, and then drive a little later on. I'm not a body man. I'm not a body man by any sorts, as you can see by looking at the car closely. You know, it's got a lot of imperfections to it. I'd like to fix it as I learn, but at the same time, it also adds character to the car. You know, these cars have soul. They have character. They have soul. You don't really get that with today's cars, and not to take away from today's cars, because you got, you know, your modern muscle today. And that's got to be respected too, and you got to respect the technology. You won't beat technology, but you can give it a good run for its money. It gets a lot of reactions because there's not many Oldsmobile Omegas out there on the street. In fact, I know of another one in Portage la Prairie and another one in Steinbach. They're both 73, so a little different, but they're still the Omega. There's not many of them, and a lot of people at first will mistake it for an Oldsmobile Cutlass because it's got kind of the Cutlass front end on it. And then you're like, no, it's not Cutlass, it's an Omega. And then they're like, what? But this car gets a lot of reaction from people. I get a lot of thumbs up, despite how rough it looks. I still get a lot of thumbs up, a lot of encouragement, you know, which sometimes is a little, I don't know. Somebody will tell me it's a nice car, but I know things about the car, and it's like, well, it's a working project. They're like, no, man, it's awesome. No, it's a working project. It needs a lot of work, but I guess they don't know what I know about the car, right? And I've done little things on my cars to make them stand out. I have an Aruga horn, which is my trademark horn, and then right here as well, and inside the fenders, I also have a musical horn, because that's kind of my trademark, to have loud horns that make your car annoying. Yeah. The horns are normally, the musical horn would be a little faster when the car's running because the compressor needs the amperage, but you get the gist of it. That's Macarena.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then the Aruga horn, well, like I said, I like to be loud. I like people to notice me. I mean, I'd like to learn how to do body filler. I'd like to sand it down and paint it properly. You know, like if you look back here, you can still see the lines, which I call welding scars, the lines from when I put the quarters on. I never learned to do body filler to fill that up. So that, to me, that's when people say nice car, I think of this, and it's like, well, it's not nice because it's not finished, right? And, you know, the Novas had marker lights here. So I had to weld this in, and it's kind of got too hot and it kind of warped the metal, because the Omegas have the marker lights here. So I'd like to finish stuff like that, you know, and then sand it properly and give it a real paint job, not just, you know, trem clad. Like 7 cans of trem clad is what I use to paint this. And what I've done over the last few years is I've put on some of the chrome molding back on the car just to make it look a little nicer. These seats, I bought these seats at a junkyard for $40. It had a big stain here, and I used one of those Bristol interior vacuums, and after, you know, 4 or 5 applications, it cleaned the seat, as you can see. I've been running these seats 14, 15 years now. I was thinking of going to a black interior because I got enough parts for a black interior. So I was thinking of changing it over, but the problem is it was originally brown, right? If you look at the headliner, this is really cool. They're from the previous owner. The Bud and Tough, I don't know if I could dye that black without ruining it, so I don't want to ruin that. That's really cool, so that's kind of why I've left the brown interior in it. But I would like to put a black interior in it just to go with the outside. But sometimes I'd like to paint it back to the brown that it originally came, because to me that's kind of a nice color. And then you see the custom license plate runs 13s. That's from racing at Gimli. In the quarter mile, the car will run a 13-second, and I got that to rub it into a friend, just how quick the car can be. The rims, my dad bought those back in the 70s. They were clearing them out of the Eaton's warehouse for $25 each, and to make the car look a little nicer, I put my dad's wheels on it, so when he's racing, you know, it kind of stands out a little bit. And I find when you put shiny wheels on a car, nobody looks at the paint. And the thing is, you know what, make friends with everybody. Life's too short to have grudges, and, you know, to hate somebody because of their car is absolutely ridiculous. You know, you make friends with everybody, because you don't know if something may happen one time when you're broken down or whatnot and you need help. Somebody may pull over to help you, but you know, if you're a jerk and, you know, you're just rude to people, nobody's going to give you the time of day. So the big key is to be respectful. That's all. But also, you got to be respectful to the citizens. Like you said, with you living off Portage Avenue in apartment buildings, you know, you don't go revving it and, you know, you're loud thumping stairs and that, because, yeah, these people, I mean, you chose to live next to a busy street, but at the same time, you still got to be a little respectful to the residents as well. I tried to be respectful of the area I'm in, or if there's chance of people being around. In my Nova back in 1996, I was actually involved in an accident where I hit somebody who ran across the street, and that was very tough to deal with mentally. I was questioning myself, my driving, like, what did I do wrong? And I was driving like this, just normal, and this lady ran across the street, and I hit the brakes. I missed her, but I hit her boyfriend. And what helped me deal with that is about 3-4 weeks later, I got pulled over by the police. One of the officers recognized the car from the accident and let me know that the guy was in the hospital with just internal injuries, no broken bones, survived, and he was good. And that really allowed me to move past that, because for 3 weeks there, you're thinking, oh my God, I hit some little girl's dad, I hit someone's son. You don't want that on your conscience. Even if it is an accident, you don't want that on your conscience. Like, yeah, I've been in accidents where I've hit other cars, and that cars can be fixed for the most part. Cars can be fixed. Hitting somebody, you can't fix a body. I mean, you can heal, but depending how you hit the person, that could be life-altering consequences, and you don't want that. I've been very lucky in this car to not have any accidents with this or any close calls. The Nova, unfortunately, I've driven the Nova, 29 years, because I started cruising in that car in 95. So I've been in 3 accidents with that car. And yeah, there's a lot of road rage out there, and it's so unnecessary. Let the person in. You're not, is it really harming you? Are you really that far behind because you let somebody in? Yeah. And people got to learn to relax. You know what? Leave 5 minutes earlier. You'll save yourself a lot of stress. And I often tell people, you're better off leaving 5 minutes earlier than spending 15 minutes exchanging particulars because you had a fender bender. My job with computers that allow me to play with the cars, and sadly we now have a computer in the car now that we've gone with fuel injection. So there is a cord where I can plug it into the laptop to adjust the tune, timing, fuel ratio, and all that, and I'm learning how to do that. And I have fuel injection in the Nova as well, and I learned a very expensive lesson on fuel tables and timing tables when I melted a piston and blew up a motor. That was a $4,500 mistake. I learned things the hard way and the expensive way. And there's actually a lot of times with people I've met who have the same kind of cars, and they're just starting. I've been able to let them know what kind of mistakes I've made, or ways of fixing things that are cheaper to try and save them money and try and save them the heartache that I went through. There's sometimes I've done a modification to my car, or I've built something, and then I realized after, I could have done it this way and saved a few $100s. And like I said, I've learned things the expensive way. I'm not a smart person. But I've had a lot of fun along the way, that's for sure. I've learned a lot. The problem is, though, is all my knowledge on these cars from the 70s and 80s, that's 30 years outdated. What are we in, 2024?
Yeah.
All my knowledge is outdated. But I believe that there's going to be kind of an old car revolution, because with all the electronics and how cars are so complicated now with computers and everything, I'll never buy a new car. I'll continue to throw money into this thing, and as long as I can buy gasoline, because I can fix this. I can save myself, several hundreds and thousands of dollars fixing this. Where cars today, you get a light that comes on in the dash, and that's, $1,000, $1,500 for them to hook a computer up to go, oh, it's nothing. We cleared the code. I'll keep these old jalopies running as long as I can.